Long about now, some of you might be asking this question that I've written on the board here, this potential question. Why do I care about biodiversity? It's legitimate. It's a legitimate question. There are actually a lot of hidden benefits to biodiversity. If you think about how many different kinds of things do you eat, regardless of whether you like a lot of different meats, you might eat. You got your beef, you got your pork, you got your chicken, you got a few different fish species that you might eat. And then in terms of vegetables, you got some squash, you got some corn, you've got some wheat. And if you were to go through your entire regular menu, you might come up with 20 different things that you might be eating. Well, do you know that there are literally thousands of edible species out there? And we're faced with a population, a rising population. Who knows? We're having maybe a check to the human population now. We maybe have somewhat overshot. We had talked about the trajectory of the human population growth. We had said it's a lot like an R selector with the boom to bust type of growth. We seem to be in one of these downturns right now with the COVID thing. So hopefully that will settle down and we don't have too big of an issue. But the reality is there's a lot of stuff out there that we could use as food. Another thing that, again, that sort of relates to what's going on right now is a search for medicines. You might wonder, how do we discover new medicines? Well, one of the ways that they do that is through people that are what we call ethnobotanists. And what they do, ethno meaning culture and botany meaning plants. There are people who go out and they go into primitive cultures. They go out to people that are living very close to the land, out in the rainforest or wherever, and they go to their healers and they say, how do you cure a stomachache? And they ask this knowledgeable individual, and they'll say, oh, I go over here and I get this plant and I take the bark from this thing over here and maybe something else, and I mix it together in a big pot and I boil it and I give it to the person and they get better. And so the ethnobotanist collects each of these items and then they analyze it and they say, well, what is it that's in here that is helping the stomachache? And so it's a source of medicines, and this is the way. It's been a number of years now, but there was a drug called Taxol that was discovered in a similar manner, and it was used to treat breast cancer. And it was, I remember 30 years ago, it was like this really a breakthrough type of drug discovered in nature. Pollinators, we're losing bees and things that pollinate our food, and that could be a real threat to us as well. Poisons. I have written up here, search for poisons. You might wonder, why would you want that? Why? Because you're looking for biologically active compounds, chemicals that have an effect on somebody. And they can kill you, but there's a lot of medicines that are things that could kill you, but used in a small amount, it can help correct a problem. So the search for poisons is all part of this as well. All right, so where do we have the greatest biodiversity? Typically, it's around the equator, and of course, we had previously talked about how if you have a stable environment, equator, it's always hot, wet, tropical rainforest rains and it's hot every day. You have individuals partition out species. Let me restate this. Species partition out the niches that are available, so you get this high degree of biodiversity, and this biodiversity can be beneficial to mankind.